Okay, in this video, we're going to look at how to add a quiz. So we're going to, that quizzes live under assignment. So if you're in your course under Microsoft Teams, and in the general tab is where you'll find your assignments. And then we're going to go to create. And instead of assignment, we're going to select quiz. So quizzes in Microsoft Teams uses Microsoft Forms. If you already have created a quiz, you're just going to go ahead and click on that and it'll go through the process. Let's assume though that we want to start from scratch. So I'm going to say, I'm going to click new quiz. Using a form from a previous year or previous course is really nice just to save time. So as you develop courses or teams sections, you might find that just using a previous quiz is actually really saves a lot of time. So from here, so questions, I'm going to say that this is, maybe it's a weekly check-in. So I'm going to ask at the end of every week some questions. This is a quiz, but we can turn that off if it's something like a check-in. You don't necessarily need to grade those. But let's assume this is a quiz. So I'm going to say add new. And these are all of your question types. So you have multiple choice, short response, shorter, long response, a rating questions, like on a scale of 1 to this. How did you feel about the topics today? Whatever that question might be. Date, but you also have some other options here. So you can create new sections. So there's a lot of options in here to structure your quiz or your form however you'd like. So we'll go ahead and put a multiple choice question. Well, what is the capital of Washington State? So from here, you'd have your options. So I can add options by clicking on the button below. So you don't have to have just 2 or 4 or whatever it defaults to. You can add whatever you need here. Let's see. So we'll just do a couple. So if I happen to click off of it, you just need to click on it again to continue editing. So from here, I can say that this is worth 1 point. I'm not going to select multiple answers, but if you had something where students needed to pick more than one, you can turn that option on. And then I do want this question to be required. And then the 3 little dots also has some different options here. So do I want it to be a drop down versus them all visible, and some other options. From here, I can say, if you're hover next to the options, if I go to the left-hand side, I can reorder them. I can also delete an option if I've typed something and then decided I don't want it. If a student responds to, say, a wrong answer, I can put a little message in so that if they click that, they get a immediate feedback. And then this little check mark is how I identify what the correct answer is so that the program can grade for me. So I would want to do the check mark next to the correct answer. I can now continue building my quiz. So I'm not going to put more questions on here, but if you, however many you wanted, you just keep doing that add new button and just keep building your quiz that way. From here, if you want to preview what your quiz is going to look like, preview is up at the top. Theme, if I want to change the color or add a picture or something, I can do that there. The 3 little dots, if I go to settings, this is where you just want to make sure. I know that this was already set up as a quiz because it let me put in points and correct answers. But if for some reason yours doesn't have those options, you just want to make sure that quiz is turned on in the settings. And then there's some other options here. So options for responses and notifications, that kind of stuff. So once you've built this, the responses, once students actually take it, will be here on the tab next to questions. But for now, no students have taken this yet, so I don't need to worry about that. So now I know that this is saved at the top of the screen. It says save next to the title. And I know that it's saved because it's in the cloud. So You don't need to worry about saving. So now I'm going to go back to it just opened a new tab so I could work on that form. I'm going to go back to the sandbox. So you'll notice that it's not here. And this is where you might go, oh no, I spent all that time creating my quiz and it's not there. But don't worry. So we're going to go back to create and we're going to go back to quiz. And now my quiz shows up as something that I've created. So it had to pop me out into Google or Microsoft Forms so that I could create the quiz. But now that it's here, I can do my weekly check-in. And now it's attached to this assignment. So it took the title from my form. If I want any instructions, I can add them here. It took that it was only 1 point possible because that's what I had in my form itself. And then I can choose where I want to assign it to, due dates, and any other kind of settings that I just want to make sure are on there. So now when I say, I can save, it won't be posted right away, or I can just click assign. So once I click assign, it is now within my assigned the folder within your Microsoft team, and now students will be able to access that form. So if I go back to just the general, it'll pop me into posts. Now as students, depending on their notifications, but even if they just go in and see, they'll see that there's a getting to know you assignment and that there's a weekly check-in for them to work on.